So I've literally had people tell me that I shouldn't share this information here because you can't handle the truth. But I believe that we are at higher levels of consciousness, that we are more capable than they give us credit for. And so I want to prove them wrong. I want to prove them wrong by making this my most watched video. Because I believe that all of you out there, especially watching my channel, we're better than that. We're better than that. We don't need all of those fancy things that they make out to be required. We just need the real stuff, because if you want the real deal, that requires the real talk. So I want to have real talk today. So first of all, of course, welcome to my video. Welcome to another channel. That's not what I meant to say, but we're not cutting. We're not doing the fancy things here today. So welcome to my channel. Welcome to another video. I'm Annie, and that's all I'm going to say about that, because we're having the real talk today, none of the fancy things. Secondly, I want to give a shout out to Emma in the comments, as well as the FTP tribe and my mama, who've all inspired this video in different ways. So the other thing I want to say is yesterday when I was trying to film this video, which a handful of what I was talking about yesterday was confidence. And I'm actually glad that I've waited until now. But I thought it was hilarious that I was literally talking about confidence while slowly but surely getting less confident in what I was saying. Not because I don't think it's important, but because I even got into my own head. But the only way failure occurs is if you stop, if you don't keep going. So we're doing this now, and I just wanted to put that out there for all of you, because I find often we wind up feeling like we can't be human. And I thought it was hilarious that while talking about all the things I know that are important to confidence and manifesting, that slowly but surely I became less confident. It was kind of a perfect example of what I was talking about. Anyway, let's get into this. So I titled this video, "Are you laughing at or with yourself?" And I'll get into that in a little bit. But the first thing I want to talk about is whether or not you're treating your manifesting, your life, manifesting in general, like a thermometer or a thermostat. Because if we really want to manifest our lives on purpose, with intention, where we get good at manifesting things instantaneously in our lives, we have to realize that we're treating it like a thermometer, where we're taking its temperature, when we want to treat it like a thermostat, where you're setting it. You're setting your energetic minimums, you're setting your energetic maximums, and expecting that of the universe. So when I was a kid, I got picked on a lot. And, you know, it was because in Silicon Valley, we all had this pressure to not just fit in, but be the best. And not just be the best at something, but be the best at everything. And that is an ungodly amount of pressure to put on a kid, to not just fit in the mold, but do it the best in all the ways. So what I started to realize was that I was getting picked on because everyone else was just as insecure as I was. But the difference was that I had my mom nurturing my self-confidence. I had my mom teaching me the things that allowed me to not be as insecure as everyone else was. So I could be my witchy self. I could be my fairy child self. I could be my hippie child self. And just give a little less of than everybody else did about what anybody else thought. And, you know, I hear a lot of people, and I've even done this before, go, you know, just don't care what other people think of you. But what do you do with that information? Like, that's like being told, just stop, but not being told how to. And the first thing that I find really helps us stop caring what other people think about us is recognizing that they are more or just as insecure as we are. Like, if you think about the way you think and then project that onto other people, which I don't normally recommend projecting what you're doing on other people, but this is one of the few, like, this is probably the only time I suggest at any point being solipsistic or projecting how you are onto other people. And because if you think about it, when you're in the presence of other people, you're thinking about yourself and you're thinking about being concerned about how they're taking you in. And if you project that on other people and realize that they're doing the same thing you are, it starts to take the edge off, because you realize they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about what you think of them. They're thinking about what they think you think of them. Like, you're thinking about what you think they think of you. This starts to take the edge off in a big way. And then you have to practice this. And this is one of the things that often I get told, people can't hear that here because they gotta be sold the blah, blah, blah to buy into the truth. I feel like it would be a disservice if I didn't tell you that it takes practice. It takes practice. And it also takes conditioning and maintenance. That's why I talk about proactive health all the time. Because, 3 years ago, I would have told you I was the queen of self-esteem. But I stopped doing the maintenance. I stopped doing the practice because I thought I had mastered it. Nobody is going to master something entirely to the point where they can entirely stop doing the practices. You have to maintain things. So I had, 30 plus years of literally mastering self-confidence in person. But then I got online with my business in the heat of cancel culture at a time where I felt like it was what other people thought of me, like literally, what's the word I'm looking for? Literally, was what my livelihood depended on. That's a lot of pressure. Because all of a sudden, in-person things weren't happening anymore. That was what I had mastered, was the in-person, in my self-esteem and in my business, in making money. So all of a sudden, I'm coming online with my holistic practice, and, I go from feeling like a big fish in a little pond to a tiny fish in a giant ocean, and bam! Over 2 years, my self-esteem slowly was getting chipped away at because I wasn't doing the things for myself for online that I had done for myself in person. So here's the thing now, is that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And what's cool about putting in the practice, putting in the effort, putting in the maintenance time is that we go from having our level of knowledge exceed our level of being to having our level of being match our level of knowledge. And then those moments, because I will never tell you that life doesn't happen. It does. And when you build that unshakable peace, what it allows for you is to have those times when life comes your way and it's a little difficult, rather than it being hard for minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. It's hard for moments, literally moments, because you have the tools to move on quickly. So, by the time I had gone through all of the childhood kids picking on me until I was 14, I literally got to the point where when I was 9 years old, I stopped trying to have kids as friends, because I was like, I get enough practice building my self-esteem around these jerks during the school hours. I don't need to be spending my time with them after the fact. So I started building people around me a tribe of people around me who were more adult than I was. And in doing so, because I had raised my vibration, I was finding people who were at higher and higher vibrations, because we attract what we are. We attract what we are. So by the time I was, I would say 21, which it doesn't have to take this long. This is the other thing, is that so many things that people think are born are made. They're made, they're built, they're nurtured, which means you can start at any time, because no one's born with confidence. Like, nobody is born with confidence. Although it might seem like it, but it's just because it was nurtured in them from a young age. Which means you can start at any time. Anytime, 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 anytime. So if you want to really start building that life, anybody who has what you want got it because they practiced. They practiced until they got where they wanted to be. They practiced until they got what they wanted to get. And the thing is that we all think that and this was something that I really appreciated they talked about yesterday in the last day of the FTP challenge. We all think that we are these rigid things because we're stuck in this 3D reality. Though we are spirits, we are having a temporary human experience. So we feel in this 3D reality like we're stuck. But our identities are very flexible. Like, if you think about it, you are not the same person you were as a child. You might be, similar things. You might do similar things, but you are not the same person. You have changed since you were a child, even if you're just a teenager now. When you start to realize this, when you start to realize how flexible your identity is, you can start to do what it takes to manifest all those things you want, because it allows you to let go of certain things. And here's the one other thing that I really, really came to understand, even as a child, through being bullied so much, picked on so much. And this is why I entitled the video, Are You Laughing With or At Yourself? Because if you want to have that confidence, you've got to know yourself. And there's a lot of people out there, well, I know myself. Well, do you know yourself? Or do you know the person that you've created that is made up of all the things you think other people want you to be? Because there's a difference between laughing out loud and being insecure inside, and laughing out loud and laughing inside. Because you're not taking yourself quite as seriously. Being able to, they have this thing in business where they call it the know, love, and trust factor, where people have to know you enough to love you, enough to trust you, enough to buy your stuff. Well, in order for us to manifest anything in our lives, we have to know ourselves enough to love ourselves, enough to trust ourselves, enough to be confident in ourselves and the universe, because as above, so below. We have to trust in ourselves to trust the universe, and vice versa, in order to manifest anything. So that means starting to strip away all of those things that you've taken on that are the things that you think other people want you to be, so that you can just get to know who you are, just you, not all the accoutrement, so that you can know yourself enough to love yourself, enough to trust yourself, enough to be able to manifest. Because you have to have that connection with yourself to have that connection with the universe. I've got two metaphors that I love to use. So first of all, imagine for a second with me that you have a big presentation to give in front of a large audience, and it's on a really technically complicated thing, but all you've been given is bullet points and you know nothing else about it. You can pretend to be confident with those bullet points. You can go up there and fake it till you make it all you want, but you're not actually going to be confident because all you have is bullet points when it's a much more complicated subject that requires like a big book to understand. That's what we do with ourselves all the time. We go out there trying to be confident in who we are when all we have is the bullet points and haven't read the book. The other metaphor I like to use is this one, which imagine with me something you've created, like actually created. Think about it for a second. Think about one thing that you were really, really, really proud of because you created it all on your own. Now, sit in that for a moment. Feel that pride of what it felt like because you created it all on your own. You did it all by yourself. You made it all by yourself. Now I want you to imagine with me for a second that you're presenting something to someone else that everybody else in the group has made, and then you just kind of put the bow on top. You're less confident because you don't know what's in it. You don't know how it was made. You know other people did most of the work, and you just kind of put the bow on top. So you're less confident in it. You feel less pride about it because you just kind of put that one thing. We do this in presenting ourselves to the world all the time because we've taken on all these things that everybody else has created that aren't ours, and we just kind of put the bow on top and went, I'm here. You're not going to be as confident in yourself. You want to be that thing that you've made all on your own. That's how people get that confidence to present themselves to the world. And then just not taking yourself as seriously. Being able to understand things like there is no failure as long as you keep going. Even if it means you pivot in different directions, there is no failure if you keep going. The only way you fail is if you completely stop. And understanding things like everybody else makes mistakes. Everybody else is doing the same thing. And just taking the time in that recognition to use it as a reason to stop thinking about what everybody else thinks. Because when you stop thinking about what everybody else thinks, and it takes practice and it takes repetition to get yourself to do this, when you can do that, you only care about what you think because you've made yourself, especially. So you know you've put that pride and joy and time in, so it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks because you know you've made yourself to the best of your ability in all the ways that you like the most, that you can have that confidence in yourself enough to start letting go of what other people think. So, and I said no fancy things, and I have one other thing that I wanted to say, and I'm forgetting what it is now, and it's really frustrating me. Oh, and if I have to cut this video to go figure out what it is, I'm going to be a little annoyed because I wanted to do this all in one take. But I really, really know that this point is important. It needs to be here. So I'm going to cut this really quick, go remind myself of what it is, and I'll be right back. Ah, yes, that is the last thing I wanted to tell you guys. So when it comes to our beliefs and the evidence we see for what's going on in anyway, if I'm doing a video on confidence, I'm just keeping it. All right. So the evidence that we see for what we believe feeds our beliefs. Our beliefs feed the evidence we're going to see. It's a vicious cycle if your life is not working out the way you want it to. If you want to change your life, you have to go actively searching for the evidence that shows you that what you want is possible. Because it's not going to naturally come to you, because right now, the way your beliefs are, they're only going to show you the evidence for what is the way your beliefs are set up. And if your life isn't exactly the way you want it to be right now, there is a belief in there that is actively manifesting that. So you have to actively go searching for it. And I'll give you an example. So when my rent started getting paid late, when I started not having the money come in as quickly or as easily or as ahead of time, I started telling myself this story that I didn't live in as supportive of a universe as I did before, which was ridiculous, and I knew better. But that was what was happening. So slowly but surely, money got harder and harder because I was feeding this vicious cycle with my beliefs. But when I actively started to go in search of the evidence for the opposite, which actually often it can be the same evidence just reframed. So I was like, look, my rent is getting paid every month. I am supported by the universe. I have all that I need. I have most of what I want. And I know I can have all of what I want. I just have to stop telling myself, the only meaning that anything has is the meaning you give it, especially when it comes to your thoughts. There's a reason why I teach the A Course in Miracles student workbook as it is on Patreon. Because all these things that we give meaning, physical things, our thoughts, they don't inherently have that meaning. We give it that meaning, which means we can change the meaning at any time or just let meaning fall away. And when we stop giving meanings to things that things don't have inherently, that's when we can actually start seeing the real signs from the universe. I'm going to do a whole video on that. Actually, if you want to see a video, I have this video that talks about why angel numbers using the phone time is BS. If you want to hear me talk about how to actually see signs from the universe, let me know in the comments, because I would love to make that video for you guys. So you have to actively go searching for it if you want. And it's there. There's a reason why we have, the left and the right in America who genuinely believe that the truth they know is the truth, because they have evidence for it. But evidence for both is out there. That's how magic is created in the universe, is the paradoxes that exist, the things that seem completely and totally opposite that are real at the same time. Like manifesting with intention while surrendering, being able to do that at the same time. That's how we manifest things. That's how the magic happens. It's being able to hold the paradoxes as real simultaneously. And so if you want to change your life, if you want to manifest your life on purpose, these are the things you need to know. You have to not just treat it as a thermometer, but a thermostat. You have to set your energetic maximums and minimums. Set it. Not taking its temperature. Oh, where's it at today? Where's it? Nope. This is how it is. Set it. Set them. Get to know yourself. Start creating yourself as who you are. Rather than, I talk about it like gardening the mind. Garden your mind. Don't let the universe garden your mind for you. Garden your being. Don't let the universe create you. That's how this happens. That's anybody who has exactly what they want, these are the things they're doing. You got to practice, and you got to go actively seeking the evidence for what you want to believe. And that is how you manifest your life. And I'm telling you, I am grateful for the 2 years that I spent having lower self-esteem, having less money, because I have more now than I did before in certain ways. And all of the things that I wanted back from that time, which I'm still inclined to say it that way. But if we want to manifest what we want, we also have, we can't get anything back. We're always moving forward. So, the way I would say it is that all of the things that I want, that I had in the past, I'm getting them more and more every day. They're showing up more and more for me every day. And I have more in other ways than I did then. And so I am grateful because my foundation is stronger. I am more than I was. And I learned some things. Sometimes our level of knowledge is above our level of being. And sometimes that's that thing where we have to learn things the hard way. Because in order to really have that knowledge really applied practically in one's life, sometimes you have to learn it in a certain way and not just have it as information. sometimes that I'm working towards that not being the case in my life more and more every day. But sometimes my life has been that way. So, yeah, thank you guys for joining me for another video. I have 3 spots left for anybody who wants to work with me. All the links are in the description. If you're ready to step out of the ordinary human awareness and into spiritual levels of consciousness, I would love to help you with that. I would love to help you heal, grow, expand your consciousness, and actually have that proactive aspect in your life in a whole health way for mind, body, and spirit. So, like I said, all the links to all the things are in the description. And as always, may the energies you serve you well. Let's keep making our way through. And I'll see you in the next one.